Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Islands of Insight. So, I was able to solve legitimately probably about 5 mysteries out of, I believe, there are 21 in total. Let's see, 3, 6, 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I was able to solve about 3 of them, and then I just had to cheat. Mostly just to figure out the location of the mysteries. However, that does unlock the 2 remaining spots. I'm trying to look at something here. 2 remaining enclaves. I can't see it. So, before I jump to this enclave, I want to satisfy my curiosity since I've relaunched the game. There were 2 mysteries here that were blue, where the rest were gold. Now, loading back into the game, it looks to me like all the mysteries are blue, which means that the gold depiction, where it was like gold spires of light, must have meant that I had solved it in that specific session, which the game does nothing to really explain that anywhere, nor is that information particularly even that valuable, particularly if you're just playing this on the MMO version of the game. I suppose maybe there's something with the timers that cycle in puzzles that could also maybe reset whether a mystery has been solved or not, but that seems like that would be a big waste of time for you individually in your instance of the world if you just had to every few days go back and solve the mysteries the exact same way over and over again. So the good news is we get to go away from that frustration and we get to a enclave, the archipelago of curiosities. That being said, I imagine this is just going to be a massive amount of puzzles. I think I saw somewhere that was like 200 of it. A trove of a royal's most fascinating and unusual creations, this cerebral adventure beckons to the keen mind, adorned with wonderful and the wonderful and the strange, the eccentric and the bewildering. Travelers will behold land in puzzles, conveying in whimsical harmony. So that is promising a lot. I still kind of would like my thought that this is really an AI program, a virtual reality, to be proven. They've hinted at it, but it could also very well be just poor translation. And this would be the place where you would potentially enter this world, this enclave, and see like computers, calculators, video game consoles, blenders, refrigerators, things that just have not been shown at all in the world otherwise. Well, I imagine that's not the case. I imagine what is going to happen here is we're just going to be in yet another area with some different puzzles, and the different puzzles might be perhaps not as thought out as we may have seen before. That looks like that is just multiple rings in a row. Yeah. It does seem to me like there is a decent possibility. Let's see, we're still safe to fall to our death, so yeah. We'll get to that. But upside down versions of that are not particularly anything special. And this is just our same old Egyptian area. There. So, what this seems like is going to happen is that there will just be rings, and I think I got all of them, but I think there is a real possibility you could miss some. And this is very possibly an area to just bump up that number to get slightly above 10,000 so they can claim 10,000 plus. Because so far this doesn't really scream to me like this is going to be a lot of individual puzzles. And here we have a sky drop that is losing some pieces. And clearly it's trying to make a figure 8 or infinity sign, I suppose. But to see it does seem like you have to crouch down. And be in almost the exact right place. Where am I standing here? Is there any other possible way? I guess maybe if you... I don't know, I don't see it. And so once again we have one of these scenarios where it may just be a lot of work. Now, is it possible that these red shapes here do all connect, and that this is an experiment in matching red to red instead of red to green? Our main thing here is to solve puzzles. All dark regions have 3, which then inherently, I think, locks us down into a pretty simple pattern. Okay. So there is multiple pieces here. So this does feel like some sneakier things are going to happen. All dark regions have 3. All light regions have 3. Wow. Well, either way, that puts a dark region either here or here, making that a light region. That could be a light region, or that could be a light region. inherently, so that has to be a dark region. Let's see. That could be a light region. Or that could be a light region. And that could be a light region. If the dark here and that went light, that would be light, then that would be dark. I'm not following this. This seems like you're not getting enough information. So let's just guess. So for some reason that couldn't have been a dark region. Oh, because if this was a dark region, then that would be white, and that would be white. That'd be too many. Okay. This does now open the door for more opportunity. If this is white, then this would have to be black. If this was black, then this would have to be white. If this went this direction, and then this was white, and then that, and that, and all that seems possible. But apparently, we know that much is dark, which makes that much white. Interesting. And this really is intriguing. It is now effectively forcing solutions. Let's see. And I think that's the only way that could go. I kind of had a thought that this was going to go that way. Just a small twinge. So there's a whole underground section. And all kinds of things. All have both dark and light regions. Have groups of 3. Okay. It almost feels like you have to do that. Let's see if that's true. No. Okay. That does tell me that much, though. And whatever logic led to that probably mirrors into that logic. No. I was wrong. Okay, well, let's take what we have learned then through using foresights and at least expand on that. But once again, I feel like this puts me just in a weird position where almost anything is still possible. I think this has to be white. Because if this was black, then this would be white. And if this was white, then it would have to still be white. Okay. Which then that inherently, I think, makes that white. Also, I guess that has to go that way. I guess that has to go that way. Wait, no, it can't go that way. And it can't connect. It could be white here. That makes that dark. That makes that do that. Well, it seems like we're doing things correctly. We can't block that off, so that has to go that way. This is just leading towards filling in the rest of this, isn't it? I'm hoping we won't run into a whole bunch of logic puzzles, but I suspect we absolutely are going to end up going through and doing a whole bunch of logic puzzles. All dark regions have that, and that same rules. My instincts would be that there's probably just a pattern that is being followed here to do something along those lines. But I don't think that's going to work. Maybe it will. I made a pretty picture, at least, if I didn't follow actual logic to receive that. I suspect we'll figure this out pretty easily. We saw that there was a hole in the ground, so let's see if we can get the proper angles. There was two cubes down there. I know there were. I don't remember where. My general thought is that it was way over here in the corner. So maybe there's another hole in the ground. There are clearly holes in the ground. That's not the right one. It's not the right one. Don't think that's the right one. It's not the right one either. So yeah, this whole thing definitely feels like this is supposed to be your one last hurrah. As far as doing every type of puzzle. Of course, if they start throwing the really annoying style of puzzles at me, I'm not going to really appreciate that. The memory puzzles, the music puzzles, the morphic field puzzles, all of those would very quickly irritate me. I have to assume that the real bonus on this puzzle is going to ask to solve a lot more puzzles. what we're doing here. Same rules. Assume we are doing things correctly. What am I missing here? Assuming all that's correct, what can we tell? Like if I made this and then went and did this, is that really a problem? Apparently so. I don't know why. Well, there's something wrong there. Yeah, I have no idea how I ended up that way. And again, I think it's just getting more complicated. That would be my general guess as to what's happening here, is that this is just getting increasingly complicated and you're having to think ahead a lot more. Well, this can't be black. And frankly, this could be white that way. And that way. We could do that. Then we could do that. I guess maybe just go with the flow here. Just see what happens. If it works, it works. So there's a box here, and seemingly no way you'd ever see that box. There's a box here, and seemingly no way you'd see that box. Makes me wonder if there isn't some big reveal. The crazy thing certainly would be if you could just pick up matchboxes. Just had to like hold the control button or something. That would be very strange. Or if this whole land just shifted and changed in some way. A dynamic world would be something different, but basically anything that happened would be also too little, too late. I mean, let's just be honest here. Any last second additions or twist to this game, it's really just going to be gravy. And yeah, if you haven't been madly in love with the game up until this point, and I do kind of mean madly, you're not likely to engage with it much more. So we've got 2 boxes, neither of which are the right shapes. My assumption is that there's just higher angles need to be at to make certain matches. But I question that even. I'm not really going to see through those holes. And if we had like matchbox mirroring, that would be something different certainly, but it's not something I really expect. I much more expect it to just be a simple case of finding the exact right angles. So if we matched everything, all the 3 boxes there, it seems like we have. This is going to be a great example of just the fiddliness of the controls and where the super jump is way too high. Okay. So you come down here. There are 2, one of which I think actually connects to a box here. So if I can keep just like the very edge of that and then get there. Yeah, I still can't walk. So it's like this little pixel here. Possibly connecting with this little pixel there. That's not even the right target. Did we get boxes over here? Yes. There's just no way. That shape is that shape. So if I stood right over it, too far. This is as far as I can go there. Is there possibly another angle in which I could hit the box? can certainly see the edge of the box many places, but no, I think it's time to move on. We just take the pleasant walk. So to hit this one, you have to get the ledge of that, and the ledge of that. Moving on. And I guess I can applaud the little transitional section here just to give a small amount of falling action. I definitely feel like the whole game really could benefit from that. Looks like we've got a lot of scenic tours to look at. And here we have what looks like a man with three legs, which does point to a thought, certainly, as far as AI generated content showing up. I have no clue what that's supposed to be, other than maybe that's just supposed to hold up the statue, or what. Here we have a pattern match, which, okay, let's just assume something here, and that, and that, and that. What we have here are patterns that mostly match. The black is doing the whole yin-yang thing with the white, which, yeah, I guess there's some overtones here that could exist as far as yin-yang. It definitely didn't feel like a one diamond difficulty puzzle. Not a pattern match. Okay. Seems like the same number of things match here, so what if we were to do something like that? No. So what's the next part to determine? You have 3 together, and then 2, then 1. 3 together, then 1, then 2. 2 separate, 2 separated, further apart, 1, then gets moved 2 to the left. And so it kind of feels like things are getting Tetrised. It could also be that these 3 columns are getting reflected. If that was the case, it would be something closer to that with all of that. being the same. No, it's not being Tetrised at all. So if we see a 1, probably goes there, then or maybe goes there, and the 2 moves to the left, and then the 3 move 1 here and 2 there, and then the 1 in that spot guess stays in the same spot, and the 1 in this spot I guess gets moved, and the 1 in this spot I guess gets moved. So I was fairly close. I don't think I fully understood that one, though. Are these ones we have to fill completely? Sure I'm really doing this right. I'm just hoping. We found our final spot, which means this cannot be our final spot, which means we failed. We have to come in from this spot. Which means we kind of have to get everything else correct. So come in from this spot and come down here, probably. Question is, yeah, I think the move is got to be block off this, and then would require us to go that way. This would require us quite did that right. Must have made a mistake somewhere earlier. But where? Yes, a lot of these options are forced on you. There's no way out of them. This is the kind of example here where it also slightly helpful to show the remaining part. Okay. If I was to go here and then go this direction, zooming back and forth, go this direction to this spot up here and up here. Yeah. That skips that spot though, so I have to actually go this way to curve back that way, do that, do that. So it's always these one narrow bridges you have to keep an eye on. Does this, however, feel particularly different? Yeah. It really kind of doesn't feel any difference than any other puzzle. And there's definitely room for a better interface in a puzzle like this, where if I could have drawn out specific paths, that would have been helpful. And then clearly no real fanfare for solving all of that. Let's not even do another one of those. It's gonna take too much time. Okay. See, again, this feels like this might be a game of life situation where, but maybe not. Maybe it's just making pieces. These are the edges, these are the edges. So then this would be the edge. Yep. There's a lot of room for overthinking it, I think, in that one. We have what looks like a lot of rings we could fly through. Hidden rings. Darn it. Then we have, I guess we're curving into another area. Is this possibly supposed to be a representation of what the whole world looks like? Then what would that big castle-like building represent? I don't think so. Another pattern. Well, this C is here, so, and it's just inverted, so we'll just draw what we see here. Yep, same is true here. So we'll draw what we see here. I guess these puzzles technically give you higher points based on what their difficulty. So maybe this is giving you more sparks to unlock customizations. That almost makes some sense, really. So these center spots here are inverted, but the edge spots are not. These center spots here are definitely not inverted. I wonder if this is supposed to be a game of lights out. Let's start with that thought. Just invert what we see at top. Like that. This may also be a case where everything that matches up here should match. Would that make sense? This piece here inverts to that. No, I don't see how that would make sense. I certainly don't see how you get to a square. Well, if you added this picture to this picture, then yes, you'd get a square, a dark square. But then if you added this third to this third, you would get a white, and that doesn't make any sense, where this second one, which is white, and this second one, which is dark, equals dark, but then this third one, which is dark, and this third one, which is white, equals white. Is there perhaps a shifting happening here? A rotation, a zooming in? I have no idea. So it says that equals that. Okay, well then let's play around with the logic. Some. Yeah, I have no clue. No clue at all. I don't think the game is going to help me find a clue. Yeah, and your 6 foresights can really only get you that far. Is it pieces falling downward to the left or right, or falling downward in this direction? No, none of that really makes sense. Yeah, that in particular makes no sense. Is it possibly this moving upward? I guess I could try and brute force it if I, for a second, thought there was only one mistake. Just go through all of those. We know that there's at least 2 mistakes now. With no logic. This half is, I guess, rotated 90 degrees to echo this half. But if this half was rotated not 90 degrees, 180 degrees, this was rotated 180 degrees, though that wouldn't make any sense. This is mirrored on that axis line, but this is not mirrored. This looks like a pattern. A lot of these look like patterns that may have been from other puzzles. It honestly is better to just try and brute force this. I have no clue what the trick there was. Not a single clue. And that definitely is not satisfactory. To have an entire island like that. Again, these may very well just be solutions to puzzles that existed elsewhere, in trials even. Okay, because like this puzzle here doesn't even show the same number of white pieces. 2, 5, 9. This only has 6. This has 7. Is this somehow supposed to be puzzles that are all interconnected? Does this somewhat reflect on that? Yeah. The best bet would be to fill everything with white, use a foresight, and get a starting thought going. Okay. And then there's just nothing else to do, so it's not worth the time to do that right now. It makes a lot more sense to optimize your time and do something different. Come back when you have all of your foresights refilled. This puzzle area is going to be a nightmare, I suspect. Okay. So, is it a case that these would be in the way? We really need to move them out of the way. Yes, there is a specific number that plays a part here. And this is a weird combination that we just really haven't seen before, where you have both the regular sol and the irregular sols. Okay. So that needs to fall flat on that spot, I guess. That maybe works. But I bet it really doesn't. Well, that definitely felt different. Yeah, we're getting a great example of jumping around and being forced to jump around. Okay, does that 2 marker mean anything to me? No. Does that mean anything? No. Does that mean anything? No. In fact, this is basically the only spot I've ever seen where we have a S-shaped thing. Don't make any black patterns and viewpoints, and yeah. Do I really want to engage with any of those? Different shy Oreos or roars. Seriously? How close do I have to get to this thing to click on it? I think one is just like stuck in the other. And so it thinks I'm just clicking on the one that's already been solved. I kinda hate this as a concept. That the game is basically promising it's going to be infinite with the puzzles. I mean, if you like the puzzles, you probably would love that as a concept. If you found them slightly irritating at any point, no end in sight. And this is really the terror of infinite that can exist. Too much of a good thing. it may be that there is just a problem. Or maybe zooming in is the issue. Yeah, I don't see how I line myself up. If I hit both buttons on the WASD to go both left and right, I might nudge myself a little bit, but yeah. If anything, I would argue this feels like it is just making it. It's just a buggy puzzle would be my thought. Certainly is that there actually is just a problem. Well, this is a narrow area. Very tall, but very narrow. Which might make the shrinking bubble kind of useless. Interesting experiment with the shrinking bubble. Definitely feels like this feels out of place. Definitely feels like the bubble may only really be shrinking mostly on the sides. Because it's like one of two things here. It's either, look how thin all of these sentinels are. Might be a case where having so many thin sentinels makes the possibilities significantly higher. Come on. Losing like one every time I move. I kind of know him. Not too far off. there's so many possibilities here. Where's the one I'm missing? Still over here. This is a great example, I think, of how these puzzles would get just uncontrollable. Took a lot of time. Meanwhile, our shrinking bubble really didn't change any. There's one. So the last one is either somewhere hidden, way over here, unless it's way over here. And I'm now noticing that there's quite a few invisible rings all over the place. They're probably going to take extra large jumps. So we've gotten the puzzle there as far as we've gotten the Mirabilis as far as getting $50 puzzles done. Interesting. And this has, the bubble has shrunk now. Already gotten that one. This is, I think, a completely different one. If we wanted to do another one, let's See a real reason to do. Now the bubble is really, really thin. Yeah. I think demonstrating that it is probably over there, but I'm out of super jumps. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we can make a shape here. We've seen several of these shapes before. There's just a whole collection of these puzzles if you wanted to engage with them. And all the hidden arches being upside down does give you the feeling like there's something. Wow, that is a whole different spiral shape. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Yeah. These still poorly line up. I'm bad at them. Enough that it is just worth it to pound on the mouse and try and line things up. See, this slight angle lines up that line, but that wasn't even correct. One thing I think you can also probably take from these symbols is this is going to just be overlapping circles on circles, I suspect. There's a lot of them, like way too many. Overlapping in this case. And so this whole island of curiosities really is coming off more as here's an example of things we learned not to do, but we still shoved it in the game because we have very little shame. There's basically no way you would have reached this spot in the game. I guess maybe the chroma color ability might help. Yeah, I don't think that there's a way you would have reached a spot though in the game without already have figured out how to do sky drops. Just kind of no way. So same color, chroma color, is being depicted. that doesn't really feel like that would line up in a circle pattern. Apparently it does. Just have to be really close to it. So this entire path is just find a match, find a match, find a match, find a match, find a match again to this infinity symbol. Which, yeah, we are getting variations on the theme here as far as what we're doing. I see an invisible ring there. Or I don't think I did. I think it's just that the trees have that feeling. See, and I guess we're looking for a tall tree behind a pentad puzzle for our spectate. This is another one of these puzzles where you have to kind of stand in the right place. To line everything up and stand inherently in somewhat dangerous spots where you're going to fall off. Was where the last of that puzzle was hiding. Here we have a broken ring, which was part of the mystery we had seen before. And there's just a long chain of puzzles. Whole circular structure. Oh, actually I think I just need to go in circles because I think they're all connecting in the center. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Which that is an interesting reveal, I suppose, of something slightly different. Try something like this. Suppose I would have to do something like this. Nope. It's not even that. It's to be something like this. Okay, so how do I end here? And roll over this. Oh, because I can do that. Interesting. So, I guess the question would come down to, have I now eliminated all of my possibilities? Well, what if I was to say do that. Not quite that. It would need to be one higher. If I was to do that, then come back that way. Then, if I was to find my place here, cross over this way, do I have enough room? Do I even have enough room to hit this? I don't think I do. I think once I rolled over this, I had made my mistake. I need to curve around the first time. So. Close. I'm still having trouble with the controls. Okay, you hit that though, and then you get to this spot, and then you're just doomed. So, it's gotta be got to go in the middle section like this. Let's take a test here. Like, so that does seem right. Take too long though, so let's forget it. There is a decent chance we'll get the bonus of 100 and then just be given another bonus. Connect all dark cells. Okay, then let's do that. And let's do that. Area numbers. Going to have to be something like that. Is this the same number? 5, 5, yes. Okay. 6 now, and 3 now. We echoed that. And that. That won't work. do that. But that doesn't make any sense. We should just use a foresight. Interesting. This has to be part of it. So apparently that is not part of it. So this was a path where I would have just found multiple of these in a row. Plenty of shy auras. A more complicated than I would like puzzle. How shy are we? Weirdly, no flow orbs. Exactly, another one of these, except for this time it is low to the ground. A fairly wide area. This is a great example of what I did for a lot of these puzzles. So, yeah. This feels to me like maybe that would be the pattern. So it's a thin disc. Which that is somewhat intriguing. Yeah, and see, that time that worked. I don't get it. I don't get why it's been so difficult. And it started working. Is it possible that the infinity signs can only be unlocked during some sort of bonus section, bonus challenge of this world? This could be fairly tricky. Kind of can be anywhere. Just has to be a certain height. It doesn't inherently have to be sitting on something. It could be floating in the air, as far as I know. go ahead and see what this logic chain is. Okay, don't make threes. Which, okay. Don't make diagonal threes. Interesting. Well, that certainly is a different kind of puzzle. I'll start throwing diagonals into the whole mix. Yeah, I have no clue here. This does just give off some oddity elements. Yeah, it definitely feels just completely different. I guess at a certain point you are just learning rules once again, though. So, and with those rules, you can start to make more decisions. Something is wrong there. And certainly this logic chain just doesn't link to anything else. Like, you're not going to start seeing more puzzles that follow that logical requirement of no diagonals. That looks more complicated than I really want to spend time on. Now, I feel like that is the right way to play this game. Since it is so overwhelming, it does just make, I think, a lot of sense. Yeah. Here we have some music ones. I'm not going to get too crazy, I bet. In a lot of ways, these might be just the tutorial music ones I needed. was just a pattern. So yeah. I probably would have to cheat on those fairly hard. A shrinking bubble implies to me that there probably is one there. Bubble's not really shrinking much. It's had plenty of time to shrink, which implies to me that there is probably one over there. It is a fair question, I think, to ask as far as how much of this game are you wandering around solving puzzles and looking like a really intelligent person, and how much of this game are you wandering around and hopping around looking like an idiot. And that might very well come down to just your own personal interpretation of how you perceive yourself. There was a parody game that was called Pist, P-Y-S-T, to make fun of the difficulty, which in fairness, there was a high level of difficulty for the game Mist, M-I-S-T. I'm not sure I can say anything about Pist as far as if it was even actually a game. It may have just been a magazine joke. And just go kind of full center here. But I can certainly share that sentiment in this game, in that it can certainly feel like you are just wandering around clueless. It's an odd comparison, but one of the nice things about Borderlands 1, a completely different type of game, I know, is that when you get into that game, you basically have a character telling you exactly what to do, not even really explaining why you need to do the things, but this tutorial-like character does just guide you along for a decent amount of the first game. And I certainly could see how I would feel like this would have been a better game had the tutorial given you more guidance. Now, yes, we did, in fairness, have a quest giving screen where in the top right corner the whole time it was telling us to go places and do things. Tiny little circle. But as I've said before, I really would have preferred some human interaction, something more relatable. I don't feel like there needed to be a timer on it, but if this was, instead of just a weird world, instead a like amusement park, and certainly I could argue that was a problem with the Witness also, is that the Witness is just this weird world, and did we get 100 puzzles solved? Yes, now we have a bonus of solving 150. It is just gonna keep on going. Yeah. It does feel like there could have been more story in the Witness also. Okay, don't make certain shapes in exactly one spot. And we're connecting all dark ones. Okay. Which means give up. 5 diamond difficulty. Our disc here has shrunk to be much smaller. This has really been the only add-on of late game. It was good and helpful. Certainly you can try to make use of the warp more than I have. Interesting. This basically has to be in that area. As the requirements go up, however, it is worth pointing out that you are going to just increasingly be forced to solve puzzles that you don't particularly want to solve. So it's going to get worse and worse with each extra bonus. So many. Okay, I am confused. It almost seems like you're making this shape. Is it an upside down thing? No, doesn't look like it. I'm trying to find. Let's look at this area. There's 3 more challenges as far as bonus challenges for this trial. I lost my scenic route for some reason. Let's exit this place as quickly as we can. I doubt this is going to be particularly easier than any of the others. I think what we're running into here is diagonal walls. Yep. So effectively, this is just House of Mirror. I hadn't even really thought of it from that perspective, but yeah. This is just a House of Mirrors. Except for they're not really mirrors. Should I fall downward? Or... did I go down lower than where I started? Can I solve the match boxes? Yeah. Through the glass. That's another thought. I feel like I'm close to being trapped in here. I just don't know if did I just reset myself there, or am I on the right path? So that was the right path. That being said, I think there might very well be a secondary puzzle, maybe where you start from the top and work your way down. All kinds of puzzles here. So I'm trying to understand the logic here, if there is any logic here, which is, I think, a big if. As far as why would you cram so many puzzles into one area, short of the fact that you probably just, if I was going to guess, this game had, was rushed out the door and had just been in development hell. My personal theory is that this game did not have, this is a near impossible trick as far as flying around. Not with the wonky mouse and keyboard controls I have. It's a great example of just way too big of a puzzle. There's just kind of no goal. I imagine we'd be given a percentage marker eventually. Yeah. Let's see. This has like a whole kaleidoscope view to it. Interesting. Because inherently, this kaleidoscope view might make it easier. One would have to assume that this was the island of experimentation. That would be my guess. That all experimentation was done here. As far as other kinds of possible puzzles. So I guess the move here is you've got to kind of line things up on different cubes. Is this really worth the time? I don't know what's worth the time, really. These do feel like they are slightly easier puzzles to solve. Yeah, I don't know what we're really going for here. Time optimizing puzzles that won't spend too much time. Try. Yeah. It's not even worth beginning to even try that since I'm so tone deaf. There we go. Let's see if we can figure out the spot. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out this spot. Because you have your broken ring here. So you have that here. Let's just stand back a little bit. See if we can line things up. But yeah, the view is here. There you go. And then that just refilled immediately with another sightseer puzzle in the exact same place. It may also be the case that this was the vertical slice, is what it's called in game development. that this island was used as a example of what a bigger game would be, having 5 different regions all crammed together. Yep. I have no idea how that was the right solution. Yeah, vertical slice would make a lot of sense. And yeah, we can't really swap sightseeing puzzles. Okay, we saw one of these and we never really did figure out what the deal with this is. But I guess I could do pattern recognition and say it might be that, but it probably is that. Let's see, echoes. We don't see a solid one here, so that would make sense. We see 4 of these, we see 2 of these, we see 2 of these. See 3 of those. This leads to this on both sides. Whatever it is, dark here or otherwise. Then this leads to this and this. So it almost feels like it's a math equation where 0 plus 1 minus 1 equals the same. Or, yeah, something like that. This and this equals that. This. Okay. It's probably about the most useless part of a hint. Okay. Still don't really get it. But I guess this does reflect this if you just ignored this middle spot. I guess maybe this sightseeing spot might be right here. Let's see. Are we looking at the right spot? I don't think so. Inherently, I guess I want to just move to the Vault of Vitric next episode. I could certainly spend 2 or 3 episodes doing this. 9, 6. Let's see. This rotated to this. This doesn't feel like it rotated to that. These dropped down, these dropped down. That disappeared. So 969 would be the thing that would make more sense. Most sense to me. Okay, that being white tells me what? Maybe everything is inverted. That being white in the middle tells me what? Well, every single spot here is white in the middle. So if it was like a logical Boolean ands or ors, that would kind of make sense. I question whether this game would ever introduce like Boolean addition or subtraction programming stuff. There really has not been any kind of programming bend on any of this. Are any of these puzzles easy enough that I'd actually want to try them? No, I mean there's just some styles of puzzles here I don't want to even begin to engage with. So yeah, they're saying curiosities here, but really the only curiosity part here that I'm really seeing is the concept of the concept of these puzzles being slightly different. That's kind of it. This one's gonna be a nightmare. Yeah, they would have just wanted you to zigzag through all of them and then curve around. At a certain level, the sky drops feel like they should be the big reveal, and that there really should just be one world, one enclave that is all about sky drops and nothing other than sky drops. But nope, it doesn't really play out that way. There is some twistiness here. I have to kind of applaud in that the game is adding some areas around corners and places that at first glance I missed. Step on the platform to begin. Go even further in that direction, then down there, and probably even further than that. Yeah, in the same way, I could definitely see having an enclave that is just about flying around in places. So we have maybe 22 more minutes minimum that I want to give this to get to 150, I guess. And then after that, we will end this episode. And the next episode very possibly will be the last episode in which we do the Vault of Victory. Which, in fairness, there's also a possibility that we'll get to the Vault of Vitric. Maybe if I wasn't. Yeah, maybe there is specific spots. Yeah, we kind of know there are specific spots you have to stand on. There's obviously a virtual camera. Well, it wasn't obvious, but I figured it out. There's a virtual camera that is hidden in the spot, and it is looking at the direction of both all these sightseeing things and probably also similar technology is used for the sky drops, where it is comparing the invisible virtual camera's image to what you're seeing. Of course, that does introduce an interesting thought as far as what would have happened in the multiplayer mode if somebody was standing in the way. Would they show up on the scenic pictures? Because that would be one way, certainly, you could spoil a puzzle for people. Although, I gotta really recant a lot of my concerns about the multiplayer spoiling puzzles when at 10,000 plus puzzles I am now very much saying spoil away, baby. It doesn't matter. That is a point certainly to think about, though, as far as this game may be fairly dead, because in the multiplayer mode, because the audience that would have been enthusiastic about playing puzzles in a multiplayer mode may very well have come and gone. Down to the point that if you were to buy this game in a few years, it might just be only you and your group of friends playing multiplayer mode. They'd probably shut down the servers far before that happened, but yeah, that would be a concern. I wonder, come to think of it, I don't think I could hit any of the boxes from inside. don't think I can do that. And yeah, the world's not changing. And that one statue certainly stands out. There's other statues in the rest of the game. So picking one and only one does feel odd. If this is indeed supposed to be a vertical slice of what the game, the larger game, would have been before it was funded and they started developing it, all dark regions have regions of 2, all light regions have regions of 3. Okay. That's not going to be too difficult to figure out. Yeah. The lack of the repeating though yeah, the lack of repeating of puzzles, the lack of regeneration of puzzles is something that is not being copied here. So you are getting a kind of better experience in my opinion, because you're inherently not coming back to areas to just find them refilled with more puzzles, just which feels like that definitely feels like that undoes your progress when you come back to an area and it is completely refilled. There's really only so many ways this is going to work, isn't it? Of course, if all of the puzzles were just logic chains like this, then you would know the puzzles don't refill. And it would feel much more like you actually are making progress instead of just wasting your time. Of course, the fact that there's just like no ending in the game either feels pretty awful. We went in that direction. It's gotta go that way. It kinda has to go that way. This game has me yawning. these puzzles don't feel anywhere as difficult as they might. Seems like a lot of this comes down to, can you figure out the patterns, or is there a pattern? If you try something and it works, keep going. Of course, I could be very mindlessly filling in these puzzles, which I definitely think I am doing it pretty mindlessly, and missing a much bigger aspect as far as there could be a picture being shown. We're just slowly making progress here. I think this might be the last one. And this whole ring probably proves something. Something along that lines, if I was to guess. Keep on making progress. And this isn't going to open any mysteries or anything. So that was just a whole logic chain. And it worked. And with it working, we solved the puzzle. Still trying to figure out where all these palm trees would have to be. Kinda has to be over here. Yeah. What is the angle? Can't be that direction. We need to see one of these. I don't think it can be too high up. There's another pattern match. let's just assume that that is that. And then let's invert the image. And that won't work. Yeah, a lot of times just feels like these side parts of the puzzle don't in any way connect. There is 8 pieces here. There is 8 pieces here. So there are 8 pieces here. There should be 8 pieces here. That is wrong, apparently. Most useless thing. So it kind of just rotated. No clue. No clue at all. Yeah, that just does not make any sense at all as far as how that would connect to anything. I'm just completely and totally lost on a lot of these puzzles. So let's hold X to release. One sight's here. Grab another sight's here. Look at it. See if we have a general idea of where that goes. I think we do. Also noticing one more sky drop. Okay. So we need to be lower than where we are. Maybe we just needed to be further back than where we were. The angle does imply we need to be higher. I wish there was more jumps up in this area. Doesn't seem quite right as far as the angle goes. I guess maybe it's this angle. It doesn't feel quite right either. Could be that you just needed to crouch down. That only changes the angle slightly. Sightseeing tours could have been really annoying had there been a lot of them. It gets bigger the closer I get. Probably be easier to get around if I wasn't putting that in the way. Yeah, I am right there. The game is not gonna just let me have it. It's going to make me work for it. Quite. It might actually be a case where one sightseer solution isn't right where the next sightseer challenge is. That would be nice. Really lining up things though. I feel like we are, except for the floor doesn't really match. I'm looking for like a much more sturdy floor. Finally. Can we figure that one out? Yeah. think we can figure that one out pretty quickly. See, in this one, I don't think we even have to. I think we really even have to do too much and just twist around this until the angle of the slopes of the roof are just about right. It shows two angles. We're going to have to be right. Of course I am once again just banging on the mouse, clicking away like crazy. Do you really want to try and engage with this at all? Just massive amounts. Interesting that there is symmetry in all of this. So this like area 15 here would probably change things quite a bit. The good news is this, I guess, will bump me up to level 50. Let's see what this is. Connect all the dark pieces. Okay. Let's try a nice pattern like that. Next highest difficulty would be this. Connect all the dark pieces. Okay. Connect all the dark pieces. Exactly one symbol per area, though. Okay. Okay. So we gotta go around all the corners. Is there possibly another trick that can be pulled. We need that. But everything has to be connected, so you can't really do something like that. So this being here makes a decent amount of sense. This, however, and this, however, don't have to be there, so there, that doesn't have to be there. Okay. If we put one here, does that make the situation any better? No. It's just you. Wow. Okay. That is a different situation, certainly. That took longer than I would like. Connect all dark cells and must equal the region. That was easier than the other one. Exactly one per area. So that makes me suspect there's probably something like this. Just a matter of moving things around now. That is there. What does that do? Yeah, I don't get this pattern at all. That is wrong. Four, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, I did get it through some struggle. Three more puzzles. That's what we're looking for. Ideally, easy puzzles, short and sweet puzzles. Two more puzzles. One more puzzle. Zero more puzzles. And so the next this is kind of a great example of what I thought the flying rings really should always have been instead of hidden rings, is that there should have just been more flying challenges that would have had you go through rings. We once again have to ask, what is the point of getting a Mare Bliss? I mean, at one time, there may have been a point of getting Mare Blisses. Once again, that one's flown away. But I think we've long since passed the point where you would have wanted Mare Blisses for any reason. They led to the mysteries, which led to this island. Got some giant ones here. Interesting. So this is just a different kind of puzzle. This is closer to the... Yeah, that is interesting. We haven't seen any puzzles like that, come to think of it. Supposed to be doing here. The tile puzzles. We haven't seen any of those. And this fixes your perspective in a weird way. Okay, have we looked at everything, I guess, is the question to ask. Because certainly, yes, I could just wander around in circles in this whole area. And I could continue to try and solve puzzles. Let's see, if we were to go back to this spot. Yeah, there are 275 puzzles here, and we've done 160, so roughly 115 puzzles left in this area, and yeah, you can see that certainly. They would be the tougher ones too, because I've certainly tried here to take the easier path. We didn't spend a lot of time here to make logic puzzles. This pattern here is going to make it, I think, impossible to do anything other than that in that corner. But now we have to connect all dark cells, so there is probably a pattern that has to be followed. I wonder. How that pattern would be followed. Some kind of sneaky nature to the whole thing, where it just is gonna have to snake all the way around. Something like that, I suspect. Something closer to that, I imagine. Kind of, I bet, a sneaky nature around this to get back that way. So yeah, we're really close to where it is, where it needs to be. We could probably fix the rest of this just by doing something like that. So again, nothing special about that puzzle, which I assume means there's nothing special about any of the puzzles. More logic grid puzzles. More sightseeing puzzles. More of these puzzles. There's a ton of puzzles inside this area that we should at the very least engage with and see if we can do anything. Alright, so the lighting up of matchboxes here is going to be like a massive challenge. There's only certain spots where you could stand. You have like yeah. I don't see a way you really solve that mad dash without becoming really familiar with where the angles of all of this goes. This is simply viewpoints count the visible cells in 4 directions. Darts count the opposite colors in that direction. But you can't make that pattern. Interesting. So this probably would be one to just start that way and see if there is some kind of limitations that you make sense as far as reusing your viewpoints. See, that almost certainly doesn't make sense. Then this 3 couldn't possibly see 3. It's either there's a black here or there's a black here, or there's a black here, which means that can't be black. So that is part of it. There has to be one here. So it's either here or here. If it was here, it's here. Otherwise it's here. Which means it's not a block there. And then if this is a 3 in this direction, means that there's either a black here, a black here, or black here. Has to be one there, which means that's included, and that's included probably. Apparently there's also a black in that spot, which that eliminates a lot of possibilities. Now there's a black in that that spot, which then eliminates all those possibilities, which then makes that have to be that way. Which then eliminates that possibility. Which then, I think, eliminates this. Nope. Wow. Getting really close. Just like way too close towards a solution and still not having a clue. Really, at any point would be the right point to give up on this area. I'm not going to get to 200, which is the next bonus. And even if I did get all the way to 100% in this area, there's like 2 other enclaves worth mentioning that I haven't gotten to 100% on. So how does one get out of here? It's also windy backwards and diagonal. Okay, I see green. Where's the red? It's like way up there. Is this the chase one? Does the chase one in this case just have no timer on it? Might be the case. I'm still bemused a little bit though by the fact that there's not a single slide piece tile in this area. Although in fairness, it did totally feel like that was the last type of puzzles that they had invented. I guess because I'm not getting any timer indication. Wandering Echo Mastery. What did I just touch? Did I touch the reflection of the Wandering Echo? Or was I looking at the reflection of the Wandering Echo? I think the game may have just cheated in my favor there. Seriously, how do I just get out of this area? I think I need to fall down. is there no way to reach where I'm targeting? Has this puzzle actually changed? I suppose that is also a possibility. Oh, so I did somehow just touch it. And that seems like that was the entirety of that puzzle. Was to just touch it. Now we're down lower in a different loop. Of course, I'd have to solve this whole puzzle, I think, once again, to solve all of these grids. And in fairness, if this was just like the final area, and this was the final challenge, I would be open, certainly much more open to doing that, if it weren't for the fact that there is still probably 9,000 plus puzzles in this whole area, in this whole game, just throughout all the open worlds. On that one. And so is there another entrance that you have to reach to touch that? I think you have to start from the top. And so yeah, if the game was a big crystal maze was your final goal, then maybe a big crystal maze in the middle of the map would make some sense. There's a chase sequence also. We could engage with. There's a fly sequence. And here we have seems like a very different. So all these I'm dragging up, down, left, right. It's not doing anything. Dragging this up, down, left, and right. Right. Seems to be the only way it could go. So it's an interconnected group of them. Even though visually it's not interconnected. So I imagine this is figuring out where you can drag this piece so none of it would match. of it would get hit by anything. And yeah, I can certainly see why this wouldn't have worked. Kind of feels like you could easily just go in circles here. So the general thought here is I imagine these were, since these were late editions, there's just less, for lack of a better term, bad puzzles. Going up there. It's not the direction I plan on going. So is there any kind of puzzle that we haven't seen? We've seen memory logic puzzles. We've probably seen all the kinds of logic puzzles. Admittedly, a lot of them I chose to not engage with, so we may not have physically seen any of that. We've seen matchboxes. The only thing I guess we really haven't seen would be mysteries in themselves. We see one statue of one person. We've got some matchboxes that are questionable in this area. We saw a ton of sky drops, ton of logic blocks, ton of skywriting puzzles. It would probably have made more sense in this game if each region had a puzzle that was more unique to its region. And there's a little bit of that, but not really. You unlock certain types of puzzles as you move through the game, but then those types of puzzles then become unlocked in the original areas of the game. Had the entire first region just been sky drops or something, that wouldn't have been very varied, but had the first region been more focused around sky drops, that might have worked. Speaking of sky drops, I would tend to suspect we have done them all. This one looks like you could pretty well guess where this is going. Think you probably can solve this pretty quickly. Yep. So yeah, nothing special about that. This is our last sky drop, as far as I can tell. They all seem to want to point right to the top of this castle, which I guess I'm calling a castle. And that one circle, as if that's supposed to be something. So if there is a mystery within a mystery, I would heavily suspect it's all pointing towards that circle. But yeah, overall this feels just like this is a small demo island, probably better described as a vertical slice, which is effectively just a section of the game designed to show all the elements of a larger game to be potentially funded and made that you would show to publishers to get the funding. Yeah. And then I imagine they just kind of retroactively added I imagine they could have retroactively added all of the weirder puzzles that didn't quite fit. Of course, you get back into this area and then you are just given random puzzles, which definitely begs the question as far as what's the difference between an enclave that has puzzles that are handmade and the random puzzles. And yeah, I was interested in seeing what would happen if we got up to these sections. And nothing happens. It is just little shields that you can fly through. This definitely feels like this is an MMO contrivance. Let's make something very high where people can gain some self-satisfaction by reaching a high area. Me touching these glowing sections doesn't show anything. Is this supposed to be like a brain cell? Or is this supposed to be a representation of the world? What the world was originally before it became damaged by the fracture? Which, by the way, we still aren't doing anything with the fracture. Yep. Suffice it to say, doing that enclave in no way really affected the rest of the world. It is just more mirror blisses at most. This quest, Haven of Insight, the Center of Minds. What is that? Is that new? Have we actually unlocked something new? I don't think so. I think this is just the way in which you jump up to here. In fact, I'm certain that's exactly what it is. Yeah, otherwise though, nothing has changed. And doing all of those puzzles and getting the easy, interesting, where it first echoes, because we haven't highlighted anything. But yeah, we didn't, as far as I can tell, unlock any lore fragments or move your mastery in any one area further to collect more Mirablisses. Yep, I suspect there's 255 Mirablisses overall to collect. We'll get about 200, and that's way more than we even really should get. I've long since had all the upgrades, most of which are useless. And this is the last time we'll be able to see the mastery go up, more than likely. If we just unlock the lore fragment, maybe that is where we're going to get the rest of the lores. Everything here, other than lore fragments, has been unlocked already. So if we just unlock the lore fragment, where is it? It's not an echo of time. It's not a mystery. Silent Wonder 8. Tab view. My human form changed me forever. I knew the warmth of a smile and the pinch of grief. I felt the full spectrum of emotions more deeply than I ever had in my auroral form. So the auroral at some point became human. Yeah, all your backstory, which I really wish was voice acted and had a character talking to you and probably standing in front of you while talking to you. So the question I guess to ask there, did I just unlock one of these lore fragments, or are those different lore fragments? I really have no way of telling. So yeah, the center of minds is just that spot there that jumps you back up to that spot. Now, I do have a deep concern. Next episode is probably going to be our last. I'm not concerned about that. In fact, I'm more than happy for next episode to be our last episode. But I do have a deep concern that we're going to get into this Vault of Vitric, and it's going to be almost exclusively, if not 100% exclusively, logic puzzles. And if that's the case, that'll be annoying. We've got a chase sequence and a green thing. Forget the chase sequence. And forget the matchbox. Now, what I would like in the Vault of Vitric, and I'll probably say this at the beginning of the next episode, would be something completely different. But that is also exactly what I wanted in the Age of Curiosity, or the archipelago of curiosities, and certainly that's not something I got. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Just buy more trails, more nonsense things. The thing here, though, visually, is these don't even look that different for being significantly more expensive. Some of these seem like they are locked behind other gates of progress. None of these look good. Particularly the trails. I just like to turn the trails off. But I don't really see how you would ever get enough sparks to unlock all of the costumes. Not in a sane manner, at least. And apparently the highest you can get is Supreme on OM. I don't even know what that means. If I was to guess, it's probably some kind of Buddhist or Hindu phrase. That's at level 76 that we've gotten logic grid up to that. There's flow grids, or just at beginners, and you'd have a hard time getting to a super high level. Yeah, I really wish these puzzles just led to some bigger purpose. If they were connected to a more game as a service experience, where you sure did plenty of puzzles, but also did a whole bunch of other stuff. There is that book that got turned into a movie, Ready Player One, and in that they have this virtual reality world where there's all kinds of games and all kinds of things you can do in it, but there's no real goal in the world. So I could see the desire for somebody to make an MMO where mostly it is just people talking with their friends and hanging out, but they can solve puzzles too. But I never really expect that there will be a game like that. Second Life was something like that for its fandom at one point, but that's kind of it. Anyways, we've already gone way too long, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.